The world may doubt you today, but your future is listening. Keep moving forward. Self-made motive. Nobody came to his birthday. On a cold winter evening in Boston, 13-year-old Daniel sat alone at a small dining table decorated with cheap blue balloons and a half-melted birthday cake. The clock on the wall read 7:43 p.m. He looked at the front door again. Still nobody. Daniel slowly picked up his phone and checked the messages one more time. Sorry, bro, can't make it. Maybe next time. Left on scene. No reply. He forced a smile, pretending it didn't hurt. But deep down, it did. A lot. His mother walked out of the kitchen carrying paper plates she never got to use. She looked at the empty apartment and tried hiding the sadness in her eyes. Maybe they're running late, she said softly. Daniel nodded even though both of them knew the truth. Nobody was coming. At school, Daniel wasn't the popular kid. He wasn't rich, athletic, or loud enough to stand out. He was just the quiet boy who sat near the back of the classroom drawing dreams inside old notebooks. Most students barely noticed him, and the few who did usually made jokes about his old clothes or worn-out shoes. Still, Daniel tried hard to fit in. For weeks, he talked about his birthday party at school. He invited almost everyone in his class. He even used his small savings to buy snacks and decorations because he wanted just once to feel important, to feel seen. But now the room felt painfully silent. The balloons hung like reminders of disappointment. Daniel stared at the untouched birthday cake while trying not to cry. His mother finally sat beside him. "I'm sorry, sweetheart." That sentence broke him. He looked down and whispered, "Maybe something's wrong with me." His mother immediately grabbed his hand. "Don't ever say that." But Daniel already believed it. That night, after his mother went to sleep, he sat alone near the apartment window watching snow fall across the city lights. Somewhere out there, kids his age were laughing with friends, posting birthday pictures, making memories. And he sat alone in silence. For the first time in his life, Daniel truly understood what loneliness felt like. The next morning at school felt even worse. Nobody mentioned his birthday. Nobody asked how the party went. It was like he didn't exist. During lunch break, Daniel quietly sat outside near the basketball court while everyone else laughed in groups nearby. That's when an old school janitor named Mr. Wilson walked over carrying a broom. "You okay, kid?" he asked. Daniel shrugged. "Yeah." Mr. Wilson smiled slightly. "That's usually what people say when they're not okay." Daniel looked away. After a long silence, he finally admitted everything. The party, the empty chairs, the embarrassment, the feeling that nobody cared about him. Mr. Wilson listened carefully. Then he sat beside Daniel on the cold bench and said something unexpected. "You know, sometimes the people who feel forgotten grow up to make other people feel remembered." Daniel frowned slightly. "What does that mean?" Mr. Wilson pointed toward the students laughing nearby. "Most people only care about being noticed, but pain gives certain people something different." "What?" "A heart that understands others." Daniel stayed quiet. Before leaving, Mr. Wilson handed him a small notebook from his cleaning cart. "Write down one good thing you want to do for someone every single day." Daniel looked confused, but he kept the notebook. That tiny moment slowly changed his life. Over the next few years, Daniel started noticing lonely people everywhere. The quiet student eating alone, the homeless man near the subway, the elderly neighbor nobody visited. And because he knew what loneliness felt like, he started doing small acts of kindness. Sometimes it was just a conversation, sometimes food, sometimes simply remembering someone's birthday. Little by little, Daniel became known for helping people. Not because he wanted attention, but because he never wanted anyone else to feel the way he felt that night. Years passed. At 28 years old, Daniel created a nonprofit organization called the Remember Project in New York City, a community that organized birthday celebrations for homeless children, lonely seniors, and struggling families who couldn't afford parties. What started with one small notebook eventually touched thousands of lives across America. One evening, during a large birthday event for underprivileged kids, Daniel stood quietly near the back of the room, watching children laugh, smile, and blow out candles surrounded by people who cared. A volunteer walked up to him and asked, "What inspired you to start all this?" Daniel looked around the room for a moment before answering, "Because once, nobody came to mind." The volunteer fell silent, but Daniel smiled. Not with sadness, with peace. Because the little boy who once felt invisible had turned his pain into purpose. And sometimes, the people who receive the least love become the ones who give the most to the world. Moral of the story: never underestimate someone's silent pain. One lonely moment can either break a person or inspire them to change the lives of others forever. You're not here by accident. Welcome to Self-Made Motive, the home of powerful motivational stories, success mindset, and self-made energy.